Hey, my name's Franco and I'm here to introduce you to our Booking Manager add-on. Once installed, the Booking Manager add-on is available in the add-ons folder on your home screen or from the account menu, add-ons menu. So once you do that, you'll arrive at the screen where you've got our add-on and possibly other add-ons that you might have subscribed to. Now, to launch the Booking Manager, just click the main icon and it will launch into what we call the Today view. So there we go, it's just loading up jobs. Now, something to be aware of when launching the Booking Manager, if it's the first time and you've got a lot of jobs in your system, that initial launch can take quite a while because it's caching job data into your browser to make it perform better. So that's a one-time thing normally at the beginning, right when you start using Booking Manager. After that, it should stay in sync, but occasionally it might experience a slow startup because it's caching a lot of data, stale data out of your system and fresh data. So just be aware of that. So when you launch Booking Manager, you arrive in what we call the Today screen. And the goal of the Today screen is really to give you a bird's eye view of what's happening with the job bookings that you have in your system, along with the number of staff that you might have on during the day, the number of unscheduled jobs that require your attention, any issues with conflicted job bookings that you have, and a few other things. So we start off with this nice, really clean view. At the top here, we've got a little bit of a summary. Today we've got 13 jobs with 109 future bookings that the add-on's aware of. And we've got 6 staff, and over to the right we've got some navigation options. We can create a new booking, refresh data, roster, and AI. The next row down we have our navigation between different days, so we can go back and forth to different days from today. We don't go backwards, we go forwards, because we're only really concerned about future bookings, today's bookings and future bookings. And then we've got these panels along the next row, so we can see again today's bookings. We've got 13 bookings across 13 different job sites. We've got 6 out of 6 staff are on today. We have unscheduled jobs that need our action and attention, and we've got no issues with booking conflicts today. So that's good. Then we've got these 4 extra areas that we can dive into. Now we can simply just open by clicking on it, by expanding it. So we can expand these just one by one, or you can just click on here, which will also open up the corresponding section. So if I click on today's bookings, it will open up today's schedule. And we can see today's schedule, all the different bookings that have been made against different jobs for different customers throughout the course of the day. So that's what today's schedule does. Staff on today, so if we click on that, that'll actually open up the staff section and we can see which staff have been booked on for today. If staff are away on leave or they are available but have no bookings, they will also show up in that section. We can click on the unscheduled. So if we click on unscheduled, it actually will open up a list of jobs which are considered unscheduled in your system. It might take a second or 5 to just cache and resolve all the customer names, but once that's done, you'll see a list of unscheduled jobs that you have in your system. We can also look at all jobs that you might have, all active jobs that are currently in your system, so that's there as well, but we're kind of focused on unscheduled. And then we have issues, and we've got no issues to show you today because there's no booking conflicts, but clicking it will open up the needs attention. And if you did have booking conflicts, they will show up here quite clearly, shaded in red, to say you've got a booking conflict with a staff member who might be double or triple booked on particular jobs. So it's really handy to know what needs your attention. One of the other cool things is this heat map. And the heat map basically gives you a view of the jobs that you might have. And we call it a heat map because, the less jobs you have, the lower the bar. In this case, we're in the column bar view. And the more jobs you have, the more red or the stronger that heat becomes. So you can see in this case we're set to the day, and we can see over the course of our day our heat map shows that we have some jobs initially in the morning and they start peaking around 12 o'clock during midday, and then towards the end of the day they sort of drop off again. So this can be quite handy for an admin trying to figure out which particular part of the day is quieter than others. We can also change it over to a week, and that shows us like what's going on over the course of a week, which is super handy. We can see that Monday and Tuesday were relatively quiet compared to Wednesday and Thursday. It's starting to drop off by Friday. And again, they're color coded, so the stronger towards the red side means that there's more, and towards the green side it means there's less. And then of course we can also do it by the month. And so let's click month. And here we can see in this current week, we've got quite a lot of jobs, and then they start to drop off in future weeks, which is kind of a normal pattern for most businesses. They'll have, in their current week, a lot more jobs than they will have in future weeks. Now, the other way you can look at your heat map is actually through a grid type of view. And the one we recommend is when you're on the month view and change it over to the grid, which shows you the actual calendar. And the calendar actually is really nice. You can see just literally the days, and in the top left-hand corner, you've got the date. So this is July the 1st, for example. And on July the 1st, we've got 13 jobs that have been booked, and likewise on July the 2nd, and then that drops to 11 jobs on July the 3rd, and then we've got nothing happening over the weekends. Then on Monday we've got 8 jobs, and so on and so forth. So that's how the heat map is kind of working. Now, you can go back in time and look at previous weeks and months up to about 30 days, and if you do go back, when it's sort of faded out like this means this was a previous reporting period, and you can't actually go back in time, like I said, but at least you can see what was happening the month or the week before. But when it's kind of strong colored, you can actually click onto those blocks, those days, and it will jump you forward to that day's booking. So if I click on Friday the 3rd, we're currently on Wednesday the 1st. If I click on Friday the 3rd here, it will actually jump forward to Friday the 3rd, as you would expect. And if we can see now that there's 11 bookings for this day, there's still 6 staff on site, and so on. And we actually do have an issue this time on Friday. So if we click on issues, it's going to show us there's a scheduling conflict with Charlie. He's been double booked on 2 jobs, one between Beaumont Veterinary and another with A to Z Stationery Supplies. So that's giving, and we can actually resolve this booking conflict by clicking resolve and then deciding how we're going to handle that conflict by either reassigning the job, rescheduling the job so that they don't overlap each other, or even deleting one or both of the bookings if we feel that's what needs to happen. You'll notice that these indicators here, so the red means there's a conflict, and for every conflict you'll get a new red dot. So if there was like 4 conflicts on this day, you'll see 4 red dots, and then the amber is basically that you're unscheduled. So that you'll only ever get one amber dot which says you've got unscheduled jobs, and you can see that that's the case here, and we can go and click on that. It's just going to bring us back to our unscheduled jobs list when we can go and deal with those. So that's the today screen, and the whole goal of the screen is to give you a really fast overview of what's going on a particular day, whether it's a day in the future or if it's today. It just gives you a really crisp, focused view of what's happening today, so you can see how busy you are in terms of number of job bookings on a particular day. You can see which staff you've got on for a particular day, and you can see what needs immediate attention either by you or others to go and solve those issues. The other part of the booking manager is the roster view. In this case, we've set the roster to a week, so we can see up here it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you've got that across the week, and then we've got it down the vertical. We can see the names of our staff, and we can see Cameron, we can see Charlie, so we can see all of our staff. And if we go across, we can see all the jobs that have been booked. Cameron's been booked onto for each day, so we can see on Monday he had this 1 job, and Tuesday he had these 3 jobs, and Wednesday he's got these 2, and so on and so forth. So we've tried to make this as useful as possible. So it's telling you the job status, it's giving you the time of the booking, it's showing you the name of the customer, it's showing you the location, it's showing you the job category down here. So you kind of, in a glance, you can see exactly what this. We can also change it to a month view. The month view is just a really high level view. Again, similar, it's just giving you a bird's eye view of what's going on for the month. We can see every dot represents a job. The color of the dot is based on job category, so the job categories are coloured, and that's using the ServiceMate native colours that you used for setting job categories. We can see a summary of the number of bookings that have been made, and we can see the number of staff and the total number of hours that staff have been booked for a particular day. So that's the month view. The week view, and then we've got the daily view. So if we click on daily, it's currently 9 o'clock right now, but if we go and have a look, we can see to the daily view when the jobs, were basically started. We can see Phil had a job that started at 8, and then another one at 9, and another at 10. So it does appear that these are overlapping, but the reality is they're not. You'll know if there's a conflict if they overlap, because you'll get an extra little symbol down here that shows you a little, a conflict issue. In fact, why don't we show you that by going to Friday, where we know we do have a booking conflict, and here we go with Charlie. He's been double booked, so he's got a job with Beaumont Veterinary, and within that same booking window, he's been booked onto this A to Z Stationery Supplies job over here. And you can see down in the bottom right-hand corner, you've got this little warning icon telling you that there's a problem. Now, we'll talk about how to resolve these conflicts in a moment, but before we do that, let's just click back into the week view, right? And you can actually change the density of what's been displayed on the screen. So we can actually chunk it down from the normal view, which is where we are right now, down to a more compact view by just clicking this button up here, and it's now reduced slightly the amount of information showing up. It's still quite a lot, but it's more compact than the previous one. But we can really dial it down into what we call the minimal view. And in the minimal view, we can see that it actually looks quite different. And instead of seeing customer names and so forth, what we have is staff represented by badges, and we can see that in this case, we're seeing the number of bookings that they've got on a particular day. So we can see that our friend Charlie, for example, he's got 3 bookings on this particular day, which total up to 7 hours. We've got Cameron here. He's got 2 bookings on Wednesday, and it's 3 hours. And you'll notice that they're actually color coded, and you can set these colors. So like in this case, green means they are less busy. They've got some book work, but they've got some room to do more work on this particular day. So there's green. You've got yellow, which means they're fairly loaded up. They do have a little bit of capacity left, but not much. And then red is they're cooked. You can't put any more jobs on them without them incurring additional overtime, or they're overloaded with work. So this is a really cool way of just seeing who's busy on a particular day, and whether or not you've got staff that've got some ability to take on some more work on a particular day. So that's booked. Now we've also got the reverse of this, like we call it unbooked. So if we just click on this, and now it's flipped over to what we call unbooked. So we can see now on Thursday, so Charlie's got 1.75 hours available on Thursday, and we've actually marked this one up as red. So, and yeah, you can see that that's red on Thursday, but if we're unbooked, we can actually see 1.75 hours available on Wednesday or Thursday. So this is just another same information, but shown you in a different perspective, which is, for some businesses, this is actually handier. This is easier for them to understand. Yeah, I've got some capacity here. He's got 7 hours on Friday. I've got 7 hours for this person here, Jen Ranger on Tuesday, etc. So really cool way to see how busy your team are and whether or not you can give them additional work or they need additional assistance. So that's the rostering view. Let's just change it back to the normal view, and let's go back down to Charlie. And we can see he's actually got some conflicts here. He's actually got conflicts on Thursday. So we can see he's got the Nova Costrian Medical Centre, and he's got a conflict that conflicts with this A to Z stationary supplies job. And then on Friday, he's also been double booked. So how to resolve those conflicts? Few different ways, but they all lead to the same place. So the first way you can do is just literally click on the icon, the hazard or the warning icon here, and it brings up the booking conflicts. And here we can see 2 conflicts across this one staff member, and then we can see the different conflicts that he's got to deal with. And like I said, he's got the booking conflict on the Thursday job, and he's got the booking conflict on the Friday job. And we can see in this Thursday job, the first one is Nova Costrian Medical Centre, and that's been scheduled between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon. And over here, the conflicting one is for A to Z stationary supplies, and it's at 1:45 to 4:45. So there's an obvious overlap. To deal with this conflict, you can do one of 4 things. You can edit the booking so that it runs to a different time of the day. So you might click edit, and you can change and modify the booking. So let's try and find a time earlier in the day that he might be able to do this job. Let's say it's 11:30. It's a 2-hour job, so it'll finish at 1. Well, let's actually give him a little bit more. Let's make it 11 o'clock, right? And then see if that helps solve the booking. And it actually didn't. We've actually got a new conflict, and he's already booked on for a job at 9:30, which overlaps with our 11 o'clock start time on this job. So we're not going to go back. We're not going to book this one. So we can do a few things with this, and we can either edit the booking and change the date and the time that the booking is going to take place, or we can cancel the booking here, or we can reassign the booking to someone else. So we can click here and reassign it to a different person. Let's say Sam. And it's going, yep, let's reassign that to Sam. Or we could choose to cancel the booking if we want. So we can delete the booking and just allow Charlie to focus on this other one instead. Or, we could cancel both bookings, just cancel both of them, and then just start again and figure out who else is available to do this job. In this case, let's just reassign the booking, and we're going to reassign it to Sam. Now, if Sam wasn't available, it will actually tell us, and it will say there's a conflict. But in this case, Sam is available, so we can reassign it. And there you go. The booking has been reassigned to Sam, and now we're left with the remaining booking conflict. And let's just, in this case, let us just cancel this booking, just as an example, and we'll cancel that booking. And now that booking conflict has been resolved. So no more booking conflicts for Charlie today. So that is a little bit about the Booking Manager in a nutshell. The other things that you can do while you're in Booking Manager is you can click on any job, and it will open up this choose an action screen. And from here, you can see the name of the customer, the job number, the job category, and the first line of the job description will show up. And then you can take any one of these actions. You can modify the booking. You've already seen that. You can also view the job. And if you click view job, it will actually open up that job in the ServiceMates native job card. And you can see that booking here. We'll just flick back. You can ask AI, which I'll talk about soon. And then you can also add a job note if you want. You can just go, you know what, and put a job note on that job. You can move it to a queue. and choose a queue that you want to move it towards. So maybe we want to move it to schedule, and then assign it to somebody that's responsible for scheduling. Let's say John is responsible for scheduling, and add that to the queue with an expiry date. Let's just cancel out of that. We can change the job status. So if the job is a work order, you'll get the option to change it to either completed or make it unsuccessful. If the job was a quote, you'll be given the option to, let's try that. Let's choose this one. You'll get the option to change it to a work order or make it unsuccessful. So there's a couple of things that you can do. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the AI. So this AI feature is quite experimental. We included it because, everyone's including AI on their stuff today, and we thought, well, why not? So to access AI, once it's all configured, you'll be able to click the AI button, and it will pop out an AI chat screen to the sidebar. And you can see I've actually got it set to dark mode because I prefer the contrast. I prefer working in my chat sessions in dark mode, but if you're this way inclined, you can also just go to the light mode, whatever tickles your fancy. At the top here, we can see the model, the provider that we're using. So we're using Claude Opus 4.8 as our AI model today. You'll get a few other buttons up here. One of these, and this is obviously changing between light mode and dark mode. This allows us to expand this into almost like a full screen window rather than the sidebar. I like using the sidebar if I also want to be able to see what's going on and interact with my screen, whether it be the today screen or the roster, whilst also chatting with my AI. But sometimes you just want more real estate on your AI chat window, so you'll click this and it'll just switch it over to a more of a full screen view, and you can have that conversation this way. I'm going to just put it back to the side window here. You can save your AI, you can download your AI chats to your desktop. They are saved as markdown files or .md files. You can reset the chat session by just clicking new chat. So, after a while, it's recommended that you start a new chat session, because the longer your chat goes, the more memory it's taking up, and then it gets to a point where it's just got so much context and memory, you're better off with just starting a new conversation again. Over here, we've got another button, which allows us to change the AI settings. So at the moment, I've got this one set to minimal fastest, which I recommend, just keep it on minimal fastest. And if you do that, you're most likely to get through your AI chat without incurring, the AI just stopping because it's run out of memory or something like that. But you can change the effort, or leave it on auto. So either way works. And then down here, you've got access to change, from your default AI model to something else. In this case, I'm configured for Claude, so maybe I want to choose a different model. Let's say I want to use Sonnet, 5, which is a new model that was just released today, which costs less to run than Claude Opus 4.8. So I might decide I'm going to use Claude Sonnet for this conversation instead. Personally, I prefer using Claude Opus 4.8 because it's arguably one of the most capable models, and it's more likely to answer your question and reason better than other models. Okay, so I prefer Claude Opus 4.8. But experimental, so this is not a guaranteed feature that's going to work flawlessly. It's an experimental feature, and you use it at your own risk with varying results. So let's have a quick look at how the AI you might use the AI, for example, and I might say, what jobs need my attention right now? Now I'm gonna hopefully it's going to go and find our unscheduled jobs, and let's see what's happening over here. So it's working through the plan, and yeah, we've got a summary back from the AI, and yeah, it found 33 unscheduled jobs, no future bookings. Here's the picture, rah rah rah. So basically, it's actually gone ahead and said, I'll start. It's actually trying to create a plan right now to say, this is how we need to start dealing with these unscheduled jobs. And it's actually giving me a proposal on what to do. And it's saying who's free to do the job tomorrow. In this case, for this first job, Merriweather urgent block toilets, it's given me 3 techs, myself included. And, it's an after hours job, blah, blah, blah. So, I can go, let's go with Sam. And it will look to try and book Sam onto the job, and it's asking you, sure, let's go with Sam, let's create the booking for Sam. I can either approve it or deny it. So let's say I'm going to approve it, and it's going to go away and it's going to book Sam on that job. Let's go and have a look at Sam. And this is for Thursday, Oh, book Sam, 2 open work order. Oh, that failed. I passed the job number instead of the job UID. Let's do it again. So again, it's experimental. And as we can see, it actually literally created a job booking for 7 o'clock for that job after hours, and it's gone ahead and booked that job in with Sam. So your mileage will vary depending on what model that you're using and so forth. So now it's going through, and I'm just going to stop this chat. I just wanted to show this as an example. And yeah, like, let's just go new chat on this one. I'll just click stop on this for now, and then I'll just go, and I can save that. I can save that as down to my desktop, and it's going to save as a chat session to my downloads directory. In this case, I can just save it. It's going to save as an offline thing, so I could come back to it later and reread it later on. Okay, so that's a little bit about the AI. The AI is also available when making a booking through here. Like, let's say I've got an unscheduled job here, and I've got Beaumont Veterinary, and it's another clear block drain job. You'll see that I've got Ask AI, and if I click Ask AI, okay, it's actually brought up the job as context for this conversation. Let's just go new chat, and we'll do this again. Try that one, Beaumont Veterinary, Ask AI, and you can see job 69, Beaumont Veterinary, and go, tell me about this job. And it's already got the job in context, so it knows which job you're talking about. Okay, so it's returned some information about the job. It's a work order, it's VIP, it's this address. Okay, so one cool thing about the AI is that if you had job notes, it will actually read, like notes in the job bar, it will read those notes. So it becomes part of the context of the job. Obviously, this test job doesn't have any notes, so it didn't return any interesting information. It just gave us a summary. And then it's asking us, how do we want to proceed with this job? And it says, let's book this in for next week or whatever, and then it'll go and find the right tech to do the job. So let's just stop that conversation and get out of the AI. You also have to understand that we can use the system without AI. You don't need AI to find a staff member and create the booking. It was designed to do it without it. So if we go try Beaumont Veterinary, okay, and we choose to book this job, this is now, we can use Ask AI up here because, we thought it was handy, but now we are into the actual booking part of the booking manager. So we can create booking, and this is what we call the booking wizard. So here we can see the name of the job number, the address of the job, again, the job status category, and the clear block drain. Now which is the first line of the job description. And this color bar here is actually the status. So if it's blue means work order, orange means quote, green means completed, red means unsuccessful. So that's the job status, and that represented by that colored stripe on the side. And here we can see we've got these different wizard steps. So the first step is what kind of booking are we trying to make? And so we can go, we want a one-off booking. So it's just a one-off, send somebody out and do the job. But maybe this is a recurring job. We know in this case it's not a recurring job, but it'll be likely a one-off. But there's also a recurring option. So if this is a cleaning, schedule, maintenance type of job, you could change it to a recurring job and a recurring job type. And you'll see that it started to give us a series of bookings. We can set the duration, between 50 minutes and these presets, or you can just set your own, optimize the duration. We're just going to go for, say, this is a 1 hour job, okay? And the cool thing here is we've actually got this section which you can expand called job requirements. And if you expand that, we can see you get all these extra things like what skills are required to do this job. In this case, it's a plumbing job, so we know we need a plumber. We know that we need a technician. So, we don't have to choose these things. We can just go, no, we just need the plumbing skill. But maybe you need an apprentice technician who's a plumber because it's a block drain job, and they should be capable of doing that. If you have teams, you can set up like teams in the system, and let's say it's we want this person to be part of the maintenance team. And you can also tag them by location. We'll go through what those look like in a minute, but yeah, you can set the job requirements on this. I'll set this down to technician just to make it simple. And so the job requirements on this is a plumber who's a technician. Then we go and we're just going to make it a one-off job in this case. So that's one-off job. Then we're going to say when. Click on the next one, when. So we can use fixed time, or we can choose allocated time. So a fixed job booking time or an allocated job time booking. We're going to go with fixed today. And then we're going to choose the date that we want this job to happen on. So let's say we want to happen on Friday, and we want it to happen in the morning at, let's say it's 10. Let's make it 10 o'clock in the morning, okay? And then we'll go next. So now it's gone and found people that meet the like our criteria. So unfortunately for this customer, none of our staff are available on Friday because they've all got some kind of conflict. So that time isn't going to work. We can see that the one technician that does fit the role is going to be Phil. He's got 1 of 1 skills, and he's also got the role of technician. So you can see he's a 100% match. We've got Sam over here that's got 0 of 1 skills. So he's not a plumber, but he is a technician. So Sam's probably not a good fit if he doesn't have the skill to do the job, etc., etc. Make this for, we've got some time on Thursday. Yep, and so we can see on Thursday, Phil's totally available. He's wide open. So Thursday's arguably a better date and time for this job. So let's choose Phil. And let's go next. And no conflicts have been detected, so we're good to go. You also have the option to queue the job after you've made the booking, totally optional. If you do decide to queue the job, you can click on that and choose the queue that you want the job to land in after the booking has been made, but in this case, we're not going to. And we can go ahead and create that booking. And it gives us a little summary. It's for Beaumont Veterinary. It's job 69. It's for Thursday, July the 2nd at 10 a.m. It's been assigned to Phil. It's a one-off job with a 1 hour duration. Let's go and create that booking. Done. The booking's been created. Our unscheduled went down by 1. And if we flick over and have a look at our friend Phil, you can do it either way. You can click on Staff Today and just click on his name. It'll switch you over to Phil. And we can see on Thursday, Beaumont Veterinary has been booked in for that job. So that's the clear the box chain job number 69. Okay. So that is using the job booking wizard without having to rely on AI. So you've got a choice. So that's pretty cool. Now, in order for that magic to have happened, there's certain things that have to be set up before you can go through a process like that, where you can see who's available, what skills they have, and what AI model you're using, and all of that stuff, and what their hours of availability are, and stuff like that. So natively, ServiceMate doesn't support any of those types of attributes against your staff member. It doesn't say what skills they have. It doesn't say what hours they work. It doesn't say what team they're in. It doesn't tell what location they're responsible for servicing, etc. So to set all of that up in the Booking Manager, you can go, first of all, what you need to do before you even start using the application is you need to go into the Booking Manager settings. And in here, once we let it run up, we get the screen where we can see all these different settings. So down the side, we've got all these different sections, settings that we need to work through to make sure it's all working correctly. And then over in the body, this is what is the content of these settings. So the first thing you want to do is actually availability. You want to click on this. You want to go and set this up first, availability. And availability are your normal working hours for the business. So in this case, our business, Workmate Services, our test company, it starts at 7 a.m. in the morning. Staff finish at 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. We don't work weekends. So we can see that that's the normal hours of work that our business, or operations that our business is going to be set up for. Then we have weekly available hours, and this is basically the number of hours that we assume that our staff are authorized to work in any given work week. So that might be 40 hours in your case. In this case, it's 37 and a half hours. So you need to make sure that the availability is set up. When we go to our staff, so let's go back up to our staff, you'll notice that we can see that in this case, John Ranger, we've got an availability tab just for John. And so this means that we can apply the default availability to the stuff. So let's pretend we misconfigured this one. Let's say it was 8 o'clock and so on. This was 8 o'clock and this was 5 o'clock or 5:30. And this was wrong. We can reapply the default based on the business default. So we click apply default. It just reverts back to whatever we've got set in our business at the business level. But of course, sometimes we know that certain staff members have different work hours. So maybe John really is a person that starts at 8 o'clock, not 7, and he finishes at 5 o'clock, not 4:30, for example. So in this case, John is an exception, and we can go and update his hours specifically. Now, this is just a one-time thing for each staff member. So let's just do that for John. We'll change him to an 8 to 5 kind of guy. Cool. And 5 o'clock. Oops. Right, and maybe we get him to work the mornings of Saturday, and he'll work up till 12 o'clock on a Saturday. Okay, so his hours are different. We can save, if we do make changes like this, we do need to save those hours, so that staff availability hours are saved. So once you've got your availability set up, you want to go and make sure that you either apply the default to every staff member in your team or give them their own specific hours. The next thing you want to set up is attributes. Attributes allows you to create roles. So every business is going to have different types of roles. You know, in this case, I've created a role called the supervisor. I've created the role called owner, technician, admin, etc., etc. So the idea here is that maybe you've got certain jobs that requires an owner, or sorry, a technician and a supervisor. So when you're making your booking wizard, doing your booking wizard, and you're looking for job requirements, you might say, I need a certain role to do this job, and you'll define that during the booking wizard step. And this is where you define those roles. Likewise with skills. So your role might be, for example, a technician, but you might have several different types of technicians in your business. Some might be electricians, some might be plumbers, etc. So you can create your own set of skills. And then once you've got these roles and skills set up, again, you can also create teams. So I've created 2 teams here. I've got maintenance and sales team, but you might have different teams in your business. And then locations. Now, locations, these are just location tags. Then there's no geolocation. There's no geo-fencing happening in this app. It's literally just a tag. So maybe you define a location called Northern Region versus Eastern Region versus Central Business District, whatever you want. So you come up with your own location tags. So once those attributes have been set, then come back to your staff, and then you can start setting their attributes. In this case with John, I've set him as a owner role. He's also a senior technician, and he happens to be an electrician. Okay, he can do different types of jobs and different types of teams that we want, but I just set these attributes for John. Likewise with, say, Charlie. You know, if I choose his attributes, we can see he's also a senior technician and he's also an electrician. Let's look at Phil. When we look at his attributes, he's just a normal, just a regular technician, not senior. He's a plumber and refrigeration guy, so he's probably an HVAC type of tech, etc., etc. So once you've got your business level attributes, like defined at a business level, you can then go and apply those to each individual staff member. Okay, so the next thing you might want to consider setting up is your assistant. If you're going to use AI, then you need to go through the motions of setting up this assistant. So here, you've got a few different memory options. So the first one is your setup. First of all, you can disable the assistant, disable it, and just hide it altogether. There's plenty of businesses out there that have got no interest in AI and they don't want to use it. So don't show it, don't configure it, and just disable it by unclicking the enable assistant option and hide the AI chat button from the normal rostering / today views. But a lot of businesses do want to use it. The second option down here is which provider you're going to use. So this is a bring your own API key kind of deal. So we don't supply your AI. We don't supply your AI API key. That's something that you bring if you want to use it. So you've got a choice between 3 different options. You've got Anthropic, which are the folk that use Claude, which is super popular now. You've got OpenAI, which is your ChatGPT, and also any OpenAI compatible model. So a lot of AI models out there are what are considered OpenAI compatible. So if you're using one of those models, choose the OpenAI compatible option. And then you've got OpenRouter. And we like OpenRouter because that's sort of like a service which you can use multiple different AI models depending on your whim. And we just thought it would be kind of cool to be able to offer that OpenRouter option. So, but for this example, we're just going to stick with Anthropic's Claude. And then over here, you've got your AI model, and we are using Claude Opus 4.8. Now, it's important that you understand how those model names are rendered. If you're not sure, then do a Google search, but you'll need to use the correct naming convention for that model. We've left it as free text because these models are changing so often. Like every week, there seems to be a new version coming out. So it's kind of pointless hard coding these models into this app. So you just got to go and make sure that you understand what model you're using and then fill it out here. Once that you've got those 2 pieces, then you need to paste in your API key. And your API key is something that you need to have on hand before you configure this. I'm not going to go through the motions of how you get an API key, but effectively go to your provider, sign up for an API account where you can get an API key, generate the API key, and then paste it in here. Once you've got that set up, make sure you click save, and it's pretty much ready to start using like we were doing earlier. There's a few other things that you can do. Once you do configure your AI, there are some what we call tools. Now, these tools are things that the AI has been given permission to do with your ServiceMate account. Stuff like applying a job template, creating a booking. You saw me create a booking earlier, and I could actually assign Charlie to that job, and it actually created the booking. Removing bookings, rescheduling bookings. So there's a whole bunch of things here that are turned off by default. So once you've configured your AI, you have to come in here and selectively turn the ones that you want on, and leave the ones that you don't, leave them turned off. Then we've got memory, and in here there's an option to use memory, which basically means that you can say to the AI, remember this fact, and AI is going to go and create a memory and save it. And here we can see that we've got 3 memories saved in here. Now you can clear the memory if you've got memories that you want to clear. We will implement a feature where you can selectively clear, memories that you no longer need. But for the moment, if you do clear memory, it's going to clear all those memories, and you're allowed to create up to 40 of those memories, or have it so it consumes up to a certain amount of space in your system before it claps out. So just be aware of it. It should be okay. The one that I haven't covered off, but you should really consider doing, is a system prompt. So the system prompt is something that you're teaching the AI when you chat to it. So every time you start a chat session, the AI is going to come to the system prompt and just read this first, and it's going to use that as a memory or as a prompt. Done well, this is you teaching the AI how you do business and some of the rules that you have and decisions that you make when needed to run your business. So you might say things like, always pair Charlie up with a senior technician. Maybe Phil takes longer on jobs than normal. So you can create those memories. Tell the AI what type of business you are. I'm a multi-trades service business servicing the XYZ region. So put your system prompt in here. That helps AI. Try and keep it relatively straightforward and crisp. Don't create a whole novel in here where the AI is going to spend 10 years trying to read your memory before it even starts answering your question. So with the AI assistant all set up, and yeah, you're ready to start using the AI in your system. And as you can see, I didn't even have a prompt in here, even though I should, but I didn't even have a prompt, and the AI was still dealing with the questions that I was firing at it. So that's a little bit about the setup. That's a little bit about the Booking Manager full screen version. Like I said, it starts off in the Today view, and the whole goal of it really is to help you get a really crisp and clear idea of what's going on today. Like, this is what needs your attention, and this view gives it to you. So before we finish up on this demo, one last thing is that the Booking Manager wizard is also available in your job card. So let's say we're in our normal native ServiceMate view, and we've got some jobs here, and I want to use the Booking Manager from my job card. You can do that. You can click on More and find the Booking Manager, and that's actually the Booking Wizard. And then that brings up the wizard, and I can go through the motions of booking the job using this method. Job requirements. Now you know how the skills have been found. So I know this is a installed dishwasher, so I'll use an electrician for that one, or it could be a plumber. I'll have a technician, I'll have a maintenance team member, whatever. You could do all of that. I want to set this up for tomorrow. Let's just choose tomorrow, make it 10:30, and then when I click onto next, who's available for that job, we can see John's got the skills, but he doesn't have the role. He's a 50% fit, but for that particular time, John is probably the most appropriate one because everyone else is booked. So it's finding all of those conflicts. The Booking Manager is finding all of those conflicts and telling you who's the right available person for the job. So I'm going to choose John, and it's a one-off job for tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for an hour. Just click next, and then create the booking. And let's go and create that booking, and then there it is. The booking is there, ready to be done by John. And if we look at that now, we can see that John's been scheduled on this job for 10:30 on the 2nd of July. So ready to roll. And if we look at tomorrow on the native, and we look at John, and there it is. John's booking for this installing the dishwasher has been done. The ServiceMate dashboard's been updated. So yeah, you can use the Booking Manager, Booking Wizard from a job card by clicking on it from here. Okay, so hopefully you found this demo useful.